Welcome to the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs Overview for Sponsors Operating the Seamless Summer Option in School Year 2021-2022. The purpose of this overview is to provide school sponsors operating the Seamless Summer Option during regular school year 2021-2022 with important program-specific information. The Oregon Department of Education, ODE, realizes that the COVID-19 pandemic has, in most cases, required sponsors to operate different than in the past. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, sponsors operated the Seamless Summer Option, the Summer Food Service Program, SFSP, or the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs. The waiver allowing sponsors to operate the SFSP program during the regular school year was not extended, and therefore SFSP will not be available to sponsors for school year 2021-2022 while school is in session. In April 2021, USDA released a new suite of waivers and flexibilities to support a successful reopening of schools in school year 2021-2022. ODE has opted into all the available waivers and flexibilities to accommodate the different meal service models that will be in use throughout the state of Oregon. It is important to note that some of the waiver and flexibility criteria has changed for school year 2021-2022. This presentation will focus on sponsors that have elected to operate the SSO option through the 2021-2022 school year while school is in session. It will cover sponsor eligibility to operate the SSO and sponsor requirements under the SSO throughout the 2021-2022 school year, and provide program information for school sponsors that continue operating SSO and for sponsors new to SSO in making a smooth program transition. The school year 2021-2022 waivers and flexibilities can be found on the ODE CMP website on the COVID-19 page. As the nation recovers from COVID-19, the USDA Food and Nutrition Services, FNS, recognizes that school nutrition professionals will continue to face challenges and will need flexibility to support the needs of their communities. FNS has the following priorities for school year 2021-2022. Supporting the reopening of schools and institutions, ensuring program access for children, increasing funding for program operators, providing operational flexibility, and promoting nutritious meals. The Seamless Summer Option, which will be referred to as SSO throughout the remainder of this presentation, is an operation option that is available to sponsors that participate in the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs. The SSO option combines features of the National School Lunch Program, NSLP, the School Breakfast Program, SBP, and the Summer Food Service Program, SFSP. Once approved, sponsors may serve meals at no charge to children ages 1 through 18 or participants with disabilities ages 19 through 21 who are enrolled in a school program at approved sites. SSO operations are generally approved to operate when school is not in session, during emergency closures, or during vacation periods of 15 days or more for year-round schools. Due to the need for continued COVID-19 protocols and to support the USDA's priorities for school year 2021-2022, there have been two significant waivers issued that impact the Seamless Summer Option. USDA has issued nationwide waiver COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 85, which is the nationwide waiver to allow the Seamless Summer Option through school year 2021-2022. This waiver allows SSO operations to continue when school is open during the regular school year. This is effective July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022. The second significant waiver is Nationwide Waiver COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 86, which is a nationwide waiver to allow Summer Food Service Program reimbursement rates in school year 2021-2022. This waiver allows all SSO operations in school year 2021-2022 to be reimbursed at the highest rate available in child nutrition programs. This will provide approximately $1 per child per day above the standard SSO reimbursement rate. The flexibility covered under USDA Nationwide Waiver COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 85 is available to all school sponsors and may be used at any school regardless of its location or the type of SSO site it is operating. Throughout school year 2021-2022, all sponsors that normally operate the NSLP and/or SVP program may operate the SSO under the USDA waiver. Sponsors must complete the multi-step renewal process, which includes updates to CNP Web, required training, and submission of offline forms and meal distribution plans for school year 2021-2022. Sponsors will need to follow the renewal instructions to indicate that they are participating in the SSO. Under normal SSO standards, sites must meet certain eligibility requirements. Eligibility is usually restricted to sites that are located in an area where 50% or more of the students are eligible for free or reduced price meals. However, USDA has waived the traditional eligibility requirements for school year 2021-2022, making it possible for all schools and school districts, including RCCIs, to participate. Any sponsor operating SSO in school year 2021-2022 will be reimbursed at the higher Summer Food Service Program reimbursement rate. Schools and school districts must decide which type of sites they will operate throughout the school year. There are 3 site types to choose from. Let's review the site types along with a brief description of each. Schools and school districts may operate open sites, where meals are made available to all children in the area. Sites may serve children ages 1 through 18 and 19 through 21 if they have a disability and are enrolled in a school program. Restricted open. A restricted open site is an open site which might need to restrict or limit the meal site's attendance for reasons of space, security, safety, or control. The site must still be publicized as being open to all children in the area, but may limit participation and operate as a restricted open site. Closed enrolled. A closed enrolled site serves meals only to an identified group of children who are participating in a specific program or activity. These sites usually provide recreational, cultural, religious, or other types of organized activities. While academic summer school is not a qualifying program under the closed enrolled site option under the SSO, the current aforementioned waiver number 85 allows sites to operate as closed enrolled while in the school year 2021-2022 is in session. If the site wishes to serve siblings of enrolled students and/or other children in the community not enrolled in school, these sites should be classified as open or restricted open sites. Site type is a local decision and can be made on a case-by-case basis. Under SSO, all meals are reimbursed at the free rate. There is no requirement for student-level eligibility information. Due to this program element, application distribution, such as mailing applications to all households, is not required. However, sponsors are strongly encouraged to distribute applications. Schools and school districts must continue accepting and determining student eligibility when a household application for free or reduced price meals is received. USDA requires direct certification to be downloaded 3 times per year. At the beginning of the school year, 3 months after the beginning of the school year, and 6 months after the beginning of the school year. Schools and school districts are required at least to make applications available as needed to certify children for free and reduced price meals, and that information may be used to qualify new eligible children for school year 2021-2022 and summer 2022 PEBT benefits. Sponsors that collect household applications for school year 2021-2022 are required to conduct verifications. Costs related to distribution and processing meal applications are an allowable program cost for school sponsors operating the SSO in school year 2021-2022. Now that we have established that all schools and school districts, including RCCIs, that normally operate the NSLP or SBP programs are eligible to operate the SSO through the 2021-2022 school year, regardless of area eligibility, let's discuss some of the operational requirements that your school or school district must prepare for. Sponsors operating the SSO must follow all NSLP and SBP meal pattern requirements established in regulation. Please note the final rule Child Nutrition Program flexibilities for milk, whole grains, and sodium requirements was rescinded in April 2020. As a reminder, all grains served in the SSO throughout school year 2021-2022 must be whole grain, and low-fat flavored milk is not an allowable milk variety. As a reminder, SSO sites must provide meal accommodations consistent with the policy on modifications to accommodate disabilities in the school meal programs. USDA issued meal pattern flexibilities in COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 90. Sponsors may apply to waive certain requirements of the meal pattern in accordance with the USDA waiver. Waivers may be approved, if needed, in the following areas: milk variety, low-fat flavored milk, vegetable subgroups, whole grain rich requirement, sodium requirements, and age and grade groups. In cases where the waiver is approved, the approval will have both an effective date and an expiration date. Requests can be updated throughout the school year. Meal pattern waivers may be requested by following the link in this presentation or by accessing the link on the ODE CMP COVID-19 website. This slide also includes a link to the NSLP and SBP meal pattern charts. Counting and claiming the meals your school or school district serves is a vital part of the administration requirements of the program. Separate meal counts and records must be maintained for meals served under SSO. If serving multiple types of meals at one time, i.e. breakfast and lunch served at the same time, separate counts should be kept for breakfast and lunch meals. In addition, meal counts must be taken at the point of service. As a reminder, point of service is defined as the point in the food service operation where a determination can be accurately made that a reimbursable meal has been served to an eligible child. Therefore, counts such as pre-orders, daily attendance, or tray counts are not an allowable point of service meal count. In cases where multiple meals are served, meals are counted on the day distributed, but must be claimed for the day the meal is intended to be consumed. This is especially important when a week crosses months. All meals served in the SSO are claimed in the free category. Documentation of counting and claiming during meal service for SSO must clearly show the date the meal was distributed, the site name where the meals were distributed, the type of meal distributed, the date range the meals are intended for consumption. This is required for multiple days of meals distributed at one time or bulk meals, and the number of meals distributed. Sponsors participating in SSO may serve and claim up to 2 meals or 1 meal and 1 snack per child per day. For example, a sponsor could choose to serve breakfast and lunch, breakfast and snack, or lunch and snack. The combination of lunch and supper, however, is not allowed. Under normal circumstances, sponsors operating SSO are reimbursed for meal and snack at rates in accordance with those of the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program versus the higher SFSP reimbursement rate. However, under USDA's COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 86 nationwide waiver to allow summer food service program reimbursement rates in school year 2021-2022, all sponsors serving SSO meals and snacks during school year 2021-2022 will be paid at the combined SFSP rural and self-prep site rates. SFSP reimbursement rates are effective for each calendar year, whereas NSLP rates are effective each school year. Rates for SFSP will be updated January 1, 2022. The combined rural and self-op SFSP rates for fiscal year 2021 are breakfast, $2.46, lunch and supper, $4.31, and snack, $1.02. While the USDA food entitlement rate for SSO is the same as NSLP at 37 cents per lunch served. Please note, severe need breakfast, menu certification, and supplemental lunch reimbursements do not apply for SSO. Sponsors that are approved to operate the SSO may also be approved to operate other child nutrition programs, such as the At-Risk After-School Program, the NSLP After-School Snack Program, or the Child and Adult Care Food Program known as CACFP. This is known as stacking programs. Examples of stacking programs are a sponsor that is providing breakfast and lunch under the SSO and supper under the CACFP, or a sponsor providing breakfast and lunch under the SSO and after-school snack under the NSLP. In no circumstances may a child receive the same meal for a given day under two different programs, such as two lunches claimed under the SSO and CACFP. A meal distribution plan is a critical part of the program integrity. All school and district, as well as RCCIs, must complete the meal distribution plan form as part of renewal. The meal distribution plan must address all meal service models such as grab and go, meals in the classroom, home deliveries, bus deliveries, and bulk meals. Meal distribution plans should indicate all waivers the sponsor has elected to participate in. Meal distribution plans must be updated to reflect current practices and may be requested by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs at any time. A production record is a document which records that reimbursable meals were planned and served. Schools, including RCCIs, must keep production records. Production records should, at a minimum, demonstrate how each meal component contributes to the meal pattern, reflect the age grade group served, reflect the date of service, type of service, and the name of the site served, list the amount of food prepared, list the amount of food served, and list the amount of food left over. This slide includes a link to the ODE website where a template production record may be found. In the child nutrition program, sponsors must keep a record of how food items served each day contribute to the meal pattern. Schools and institutions participating in the USDA child nutrition programs must be able to document that any food used in school menus contribute to meeting the USDA meal pattern requirements. This is commonly referred to as crediting. Some common methods of crediting are the USDA Food Buying Guide, Recipe Analysis Worksheet, the RAW, Exhibit A for whole grain rich items, Child Nutrition Label, CN, Manufacturer's Product Formulation Statement, and the USDA Food Fact Sheets. During school year 2021-2022, sponsors operating under the SSO may opt in to the following waivers. Child Nutrition Response Number 87, which is a nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate meal service for school year 2021-2022. This is the waiver that allows for meals to be taken off-site or in non-congregate settings for consumption. Child Nutrition Response Number 88, which is a nationwide waiver for mealtime requirements for school year 2021-2022. This waiver allows for flexibilities in mealtime service. As an example, this waiver can be used when serving breakfast and lunch at the same time for grab-and-go options, or for those attending hybrid learning models where they get their meals on-site to be consumed the next day when distance learning. Child Nutrition Response Number 89, which is a nationwide waiver to allow parents and guardians to pick up meals for children during school years 2021-2022. It is important to note a couple things for sponsors utilizing these waivers. 1. A written meal counting and claiming integrity plan must be in place to ensure that children are only receiving the allowable amount of 1 meal or snack per student per day for each meal service. Some common elements of integrity plans include a student roster meal count sheet for closed enrolled sites, or signage in place at pickup site locations indicating the maximum amount of meals and snacks per day per student that are allowed. 2. Sponsors should only utilize these waivers for the duration and extent they are needed. For example, when all students at a school can safely return to the school cafeteria for breakfast and lunch, the school would no longer need the non-congregate meal service waiver. In other cases, schools may be able to return to an in-person meal service but need flexibility for certain students who continue with remote learning due to special healthcare needs. The ability for sponsors to provide weekend and holiday meal service under the SSO has changed from the 2020-2021 school year. Consistent with supporting a transition back to more traditional school year operations, sponsors may not provide weekend or holiday meals through the SSO when school is in session during the regular school year in 2021-2022. However, SSO weekend meals will remain available during unanticipated school closures. Furthermore, weekend or holiday meals may be provided through the Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, at-risk after-school meals program if the sponsor has been approved to operate under that program. It is important to note that RCCIs that operate 7 days and have been approved to serve 7 days worth of meals may continue to serve on weekends and holidays under the SSO and receive reimbursement for those meals. Since the SSO option falls under the National School Lunch Program, the regulations found in 7 CFR 210-13B require sponsors of the NSLP and therefore sponsors of the SSO to obtain at least 2 food safety inspections each school year per site. This requirement has not been waived. The applicable timeframe for the school year 2021-2022 is defined as the time between July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022. The Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs recognizes that some counties and agencies responsible for conducting food safety inspections have delayed or in some instances have been unable to perform inspections due to COVID-19. In those cases, sponsors should document the date and time that they made their request, as well as the information that was provided to the local food safety inspection agency to include the location of the sites or schools to be inspected, dates and times of operation, and that the request for 2 inspections has been made. All sponsors, including RCCIs, should request the HACCP base school food safety inspection. Smart Snack standards would not apply to sponsors that are operating SSO throughout the summer months when school is not in session. However, when the 2021-2022 school year begins and your school or school district school is in session, Smart Snack standards will apply. Many sponsors have asked if the Buy American provision applies to the SSO. The answer is yes. Sponsors must ensure to the maximum extent practicable that the only domestic commodities and food products are purchased. This can be accomplished by including Buy American language in solicitations, contracts, and product specifications. In addition, when shopping retail, sponsors should check the country of origin on products. If you are unable to purchase a domestic product, a Buy American exception form should be completed and kept on file. Schools and school districts that have more than one site must conduct an on-site review of the counting and claiming system and the readily observable general areas of the review each school year. While the USDA waiver COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response number 94 waived the physical requirement to be on-site, sponsors may still choose to conduct monitoring on-site, or they may monitor activities of the program off-site through means such as a desk audit. The SSO on-site monitoring form may be found on the SSO page of the ODE CMP website and is hyperlinked on this slide for your convenience. It is important to note that this waiver is in effect until 30 days after the end of the public health emergency, which was declared on January 31, 2020 by the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Sponsors of the SSO are considered permanent sponsors of the NSLP and/or SBP, and therefore all school districts and RCCIs operating SSO during school year 2021-2022 must meet the requirement of the USDA's Final Rule Local School Wellness Policy Implementation. All sponsors must have a local school wellness policy, and at a minimum, the local wellness policy must include the following: specific goals for nutrition promotion and education, physical activity, and other school-based activities, standards and nutrition guidelines for all food and beverage sold or provided to students, policies for food and beverage marketing, leadership, public involvement, triennial assessments, updates to the wellness policy, documentation, and public updates. USDA Waiver COVID-19 Child Nutrition Response Number 98 waives the first local wellness policy triennial assessment due date of June 30th, 2020 to a revised due date of June 30th, 2022. The Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs will be conducting administrative reviews of the SSO throughout the 2021-2022 school year. The sponsors being reviewed will be selected based on a 4-year review cycle. During the course of the review, ODE CMP will review at least one site that is in operation. Due to updated USDA guidance during school year 2021-2022, SSO reviews will count as a full NSLP administrative review in the current 4-year cycle. Sponsors that received an SSO review in school year 2020-2021 should expect to receive a review in school year 2021-2022, as this USDA guidance is not retroactive. Under normal circumstances, the administrative review includes an on-site portion. In school year 2021-2022, reviews may be conducted remotely depending on the status of the federal public health emergency and state and local policies. While we hope that this overview has answered many of the questions you may have regarding SSO operation in school year 2021-2022, we wanted to ensure that you were made aware of additional important resources. Hyperlinked to this slide are the following helpful documents: the Sponsor Support Assignment List. This list will show each sponsor who their assigned nutrition specialist is. Please feel free to reach out to your assigned specialist if you have additional questions. This slide also contains links to the NSLP and SBP regulations. These regulations are excellent resources for referencing program requirements. And the summary of COVID-19 waivers and memos. This summary is a comprehensive list of all of the USDA responses to COVID-19. We thank you for all your time and for all you do to keep Oregon's children fed. Education equity is the equitable implementation of policy, practices, procedures, and legislation that translates into resource allocation, education rigor, and opportunities for historically and currently marginalized youth, students, and families, including civil rights protected classes. This means the restructuring and dismantling of systems and institutions that create the dichotomy of beneficiaries and the oppressed and marginalized. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.